Now in this part, we will talk about the animations of ARQ, go back in ARQ, and selective repeat ARQ. I have given you here 3 links that you can go and visit. The first link is about ARQ only protocol, how it works practically. Go back in protocol, and then selective repeat protocol. So this is a Java code that gives you this graphical user interface. And in this graphical user interface, you have many parameters to play with. First, you have the simulation setting here. You can choose the type, the speed, and you have parameters related to the protocol, the sender window, how much the size of the window you want it to be, 5, 4, 3, whatever, the receiver window, the timeout, the duration, the period that the transmitter can use to receive the ARQ for its individual frames. And then we have parameters related to the link. One parameter is related to the capacity of the link, the maximum data you can send, and the length of the link, how long the cable is, 1 kilometer, 2 kilometer, whatever. The propagation speed of the waves inside this link, you can play with it. So these are parameters for the link, and the previous ones were parameters for the protocol. And we have parameters for the data itself, the amount of data that you want to transmit, how much data you have. You have 10 kilobyte, kilobit, or giga, or what, and the size of each frame, and the ARQ size, how much is the size of each ARQ message. So all these are parameters that affect the performance of your protocol. And then after you run this simulation, you will get results like the transmission time, the ARQ transmission time, the propagation delay, the number of transmitted frames, the minimum timeout, the total time. And while you are simulating, you will see the packets in action, how they are transmitted and received. To visualize this better, let's just go to the website directly and try to understand how this works. So if we go here, go back in, and let's simulate this. Reload it first and see how it works. So this, you have, I defined in the simulation type here, you can use typewriter style or fixed window. I'm using typewriter style. This is kind of, while you are writing, you are sending. And the speed here, the speed of the simulator, let's put it very slow so that you can see what's happening over here. And the sender window here, let's put it 5 for now, and the receiver window is 1 because this is, go back in. The timeout, you can increase it. It's now 60 milliseconds, but you can increase it and put it in second or millisecond or change the value over here. So you can play with these parameters related to the protocol. And we have parameters related to the link. You can play with them here. You can change the unit. You can change the value, the capacity of the link. For example, if it's fiber, the capacity of fiber is going to be in gigabit per second, but if it's copper, the capacity is going to be in megabit per second, and so on and so forth. The length of the cable, how long the cable is, in kilometer, meter, whatever you put the length of the cable. The propagation speed, the speed of the waves carrying your data. So all these are parameters related to the link. And you have different here. If you don't want to type your own value, there are predefined values. You can select them. Same here, the length, predefined values. Propagation speed, predefined value. So all these are possible values you can select from. And when we come to the data side, you have predefined values, how much data you have to send to transmit to the receiver, the size of each frame. You know, your whole data is divided into frames, into chunks, and you need to send them. You can determine the size of each chunk, which is represented here by 0, 1, 2, 3, and the ARQ size. And accordingly, the simulator will do these calculations after you run your simulator. So let's together do it here and see how it works. Before we start, you have here the gray area here. If this frame is gray, it means that there is no data received yet, and those in blue color are buffered data, and the ARQ message is gonna be colored in green, the NAC message is gonna be colored in red. The transmission confirmed. Any packet whose transmission is confirmed is gonna convert to yellow, and data has been delivered to upper network layers. When the data is delivered, it's gonna be like this color red over here, or bright red somehow. So let's start the simulator and see how it works. So we have this first packet here, and we have timeout. It received, it sends an ARQ. The ARQ is reaching before the timeout, and so on and so forth. So this is how the protocol works in practice. And you continue the window. As you can see, the window is moving 5 by 5, and the ARQs are received within the window size before the timeout. And once the packet is received successfully, the color converts to yellow, which means it's done and received successfully. And you have here around 20 frames, because this is how many frames we get if we divide. These are the number of frames here. You can play with them by dividing the amount of data to the size of each unit. So if we increase the size here a little bit more, then the number of frames that we want to transmit will reduce here. So see, it reduced to only 5 here, I believe, even to 1. So just 1 here. So based on these parameters, there are equations inside the simulators that we cannot see right now because we don't have access to the code. But you get the idea here. You can play with it the way you want at home, and to understand the go back in. We have also selective repeat ARQ over here. It has the same parameters. After you run it, there is a log file, and if you want to restart again, there is log file as well. So log file here tells you the timeout without error, the send packets, the received, and so on and so forth. But you have to allow it to finish first, so that it gives you reliable calculations. So thank you everyone. I hope this simulator is useful. I'm gonna share the links with you, and you can test them and use them at home.